Snow remembers everything, except what leaves no trace. Nora had always loved the snow. It blanketed the world in a quiet stillness, turning even the busiest streets into peaceful landscapes. So, when her boss offered her the company's remote lodge for a weekend getaway, she jumped at the chance. A cozy cabin nestled in the mountains, surrounded by untouched snow. It sounded like heaven. The drive up was uneventful, save for the heavy snowfall that started midway. By the time Nora reached the lodge, the world was a sea of white. She parked her car and trudged through the knee-deep snow to the front door, her breath clouding the icy air. The cabin was perfect. A roaring fireplace, plush furniture, and a view of the snow-covered woods through massive windows. It felt like stepping into a postcard. That first night, as she sipped cocoa by the fire, she spotted something strange through the window. Footprints, barely visible in the moonlight, leading from the edge of the forest toward the cabin. They stopped abruptly about 10 feet from the porch. No return tracks, just an empty patch of snow where the trail ended. Nora frowned, her eyes darting between the footprints and the forest. She told herself it was nothing, maybe a trick of the light, or an animal that had wandered off course. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The next morning, the footprints were gone. Fresh snow had covered everything, erasing any trace of them. Nora felt a small sense of relief as she sipped her coffee by the window. Whatever she'd seen the night before, it was over now. She spent the day exploring the property, taking photographs of the serene landscape and building a small snowman in the yard. By evening, she felt more at ease. The strangeness of the previous night seemed like a distant memory. But as darkness fell, the unease crept back. Sitting by the fire, Nora glanced out the window again and froze. The footprints were back, the same trail, leading from the woods toward the cabin, stopping in the exact same spot. Her heart pounded. She grabbed a flashlight and stepped onto the porch, her breath catching in the freezing air. The footprints were clear, pressed deep into the snow. She followed the trail with her flashlight, her eyes scanning the woods for movement. Nothing. No signs of anyone or anything that could have left them. Shivering, she retreated inside and locked the door. She double-checked all the windows, making sure they were latched tight. But the footprints lingered in her mind, a nagging question she couldn't answer. That night she struggled to sleep. Every creak of the cabin, every whisper of wind against the windows, made her jump. Around 3 a.m. she heard it, a soft, rhythmic, crunching sound, like someone walking through snow. She bolted upright, her heart racing. The sound was coming from outside the window near her bed. Grabbing her phone, Nora crept to the window and peered out. At first, all she saw was darkness. But then, illuminated by the pale moonlight, she saw them. Footprints forming in the snow, one after the other, as if an invisible figure was walking toward the cabin. Her blood ran cold. She stumbled back from the window, clutching her phone. The footsteps stopped just short of the porch, the same spot as before. The snow was pristine except for the newly formed trail. She dialed 911, her hands shaking as she tried to explain what was happening. The operator's calm voice was a lifeline, promising that help was on the way. But Nora couldn't just sit and wait. She grabbed a fire poker from the hearth and stood near the door, her eyes locked on the window. Then the doorknob turned. Nora screamed, jamming the fire poker into the latch to hold it in place. The door shook violently, as though someone, or something, was trying to force it open. She pressed her weight against it, tears streaming down her face. Just as the door seemed ready to give way, the shaking stopped. The cabin fell silent, the only sound her ragged breathing. She didn't dare move, not until she heard the distant wail of sirens. The police found no one, no tracks, no signs of forced entry, nothing to explain what Nora had experienced. The footprints outside were gone, erased by the wind. Nora left the cabin the next morning, refusing to stay another night. She tried to rationalize what had happened, convincing herself it was the stress of being alone in an unfamiliar place. But deep down, she knew the truth. The snow remembers everything. except what leaves no trace. What do you think left those footprints? Let us know your theories in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more chilling stories. Stay safe and remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved.